Good morning everyone, welcome back. In the last class we have started some initial discussion on performance testing. We have installed load runner in our computer and then we have installed a tool called Fiddler in our computer. Now we have discussed a little bit regarding performance testing, but in this class I am going to continue that discussion and there will be this class, part of the class I am planning. I have prepared a slide for you guys, so I'm going to discuss some of the basics that you will need to answer if you apply for a load runner job, or if you mention load runner tool in your resume, then in the interview there could be questions from the slide that I am going to display today and I am going to explain you today. Right, so yes, but the class is being recorded. Everyone class is being recorded. Whatever we are saying here is being recorded, so please be mindful whatever you are saying in the class. Now let me start with the slide. Actually it took a while for me to prepare this slide. It was around 3:30 when I slept last night after preparing this slide. Now we had some discussion regarding what is load testing, what is performance testing, why do we need load testing, right, in the last class. So this class will be a supplementary session of that discussion. We will go through the stuff that we discussed that day and we will be adding more topics on the discussion. I have around how many slides? Let me see. I had 25 slides that I will cover probably in 1 hour and a half. And then after I cover these topics, I will be moving into some practical work regarding performance testing. Now let me start over the discussion where we left off. And this slide, most of the interview questions that you will face from load runners will answer from this slide. Now what is performance testing again? We are revisiting what we discussed last week. First of all, we know what is functional testing, right? What is functional testing? Functional testing is a type of testing where we are testing all of the functionalities of the application. In testing, 80% of the work is functional testing, right? Functional testing means we test all of the functionalities in the application under functional testing. Performance testing, in the other hand, is not a functional testing. It is a non-functional testing. Now, performance testing is a type of testing that is performed to determine how fast some aspect of a system performs under a particular workload. So here the main term is workload and how fast computer can respond under workload, right? So what is the two things? Workload and response time. Workload and response time. Workload, typically talking performance testing, workload in performance testing is a expected load that we are expecting to a proposed software system, to a proposed web application, right? So expected load, what do we understood by expected load? We have discussed an example last week. It was not related web application, but we have discussed an example of a restaurant system where most busiest time is the Saturday lunch time, right? So Saturday lunch time, let's say between 12 to 1 is the busiest time. So 12 to 1, in 1 hour, that restaurant serves in the whole week. In the whole week, on that time, they serve, let's say, 200 customers. Right? In an hour, they serve 200 customers. So that is their maximum concurrency. That is their maximum concurrency. Now, if they can survive on that time between 12 to 1 Saturday, then in the other time of the week, let's say Sunday dinner, Sunday lunch, or Monday dinner, they will have probably 50 or 100 customer more. But they have the capability with their workload, with their kitchen system, with their front end. They have the capability, the staff they have the capability to serve up to 200 customers in a given hour. So they have the setup. Now, so if they can survive on that time, Saturday lunchtime, then other busy time they will be able to handle, because other busy time are not that much busy as Saturday lunchtime, right? So if they are surviving on that busiest time, they will be able to survive all the other time. Now, when we are testing a web application, we find out what is the maximum load, what is the maximum concurrency on that application, and then we do performance test for that maximum concurrency. So if the web application survives for that maximum concurrency, we know that it will be surviving under low concurrency. Now, to give an example of concurrent user, let me give you an example of concurrency. Okay. Let's consider a gas station. Okay. 3 people. If you go to a quick trip over there, you will see probably 4 people filling gas, and inside 2 people purchasing some let's say some food they cook over there, and another 3 people probably, or 5 people probably looking for stuff in that food trip. So 4 people purchasing gas on the pump, 2 people purchasing food from the counter. Food means the food they cook inside, and 5 people looking for different stuff in the store, and 2 people, let's say, there is a car maintenance, they are like cleaning their car or doing some maintenance work. Now, how many people, if you go there, how many people you will get now, right now? 30. Altogether 30. So that is their concurrency. If you go there, how many people is using their whole system right now is their concurrency. Okay. Now if you count the whole day, how many people you will see? Probably a couple of hundred people is going there and purchasing different things, or probably 400 people, right? Now that is not their concurrency. What is concurrency then? Concurrency is if you go there, if you count how many people is there right now using different resources. Different resources means their gas pump, their kitchen food, their shop floors, their car maintenance system, all the system. How many people right now using the system? That is the concurrency, right? Now, concurrent user vs simultaneous user. Concurrent user vs simultaneous user. There is a little bit difference. The difference is, let's say, in concurrency we are counting, let's say, how many people purchasing gas, how many people purchasing food, how many people purchasing grocery stuff, how many people looking after their car, maintaining their car altogether. If you consider how many people purchasing gas at this time, that means they are doing the same task. Right? So that is the simultaneous user. You got it? And concurrency is like multiple users. And simultaneous is a single resource being used by how many people? Right? This is simultaneous. Now in performance testing, we do concurrency. What type of concurrency? You know, if you have a website, some people will be using their login, some people will be using their payment system, some people will be browsing their product. Okay, so not all the people will be doing the same thing. In performance testing, when we performance test on application, we generate a scenario in a way that most of the vital resources of this application being engaged, being used, right? So if you do performance testing, and let's say they have a payment system, right, where people are purchasing products and making payments, right, and they have where people only browse their products, okay, and they have a customer service page. So if you miss the payment system, then you are missing one of the biggest part. You are not checking their performance system, right? So when you are designing a performance testing scenario, right, so you want to bring all the possible, all the vital workflow, so that that will give you accurate result. If you miss some of the vital situation, then you might not get accurate result, right? Okay. Now, so two things: performance testing, particular workload. We are in performance testing specifically. We are talking about a measurable workload that is generally we saw on the website. Nothing like put huge amount of load so that the system breaks. No. When we are talking about performance testing, normal performance testing, we are talking about the maximum load that website encounter. Okay, and under that load, what is the response time? Now, can anyone tell me what is response time? What is response time?
30 seconds. Within 5 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. What is response time? Yeah. What is?
I try to log in on website. Like how long it take to take me the website.
Take me to the.
Yeah.
But let's say when you are.
Some of them 5 seconds. Some of them take maybe 15 seconds.
Exactly.
Some of them take 30 seconds.
Exactly.
This is the
response time.
Response time.
Yeah. So to be more specific, let's say you are using a system, is a login system. You are inputting user ID, you are inputting password, and then you click on login. After you click on login, how long it takes? Is it loading? Or it is giving you like within a couple of seconds?
Depends on the server. Depends on
how busy.
and your internet.
How many users you're using at the time? Does depend on that. And you said measurable. What kind of measurable? You said performance testing. The measure, right? Measure the application or measure.
Measure the in performance testing. We measure the response time.
The response time.
We basically measure the response time. Other than that, we also measure how many percentage of the CPU being used, how many percentage of the memory being used. Let's say if you are testing Facebook, for an example, they are measuring how long it is taking to get into the application, and then the server, Facebook, as I said, Facebook is hosted, they have servers. Probably for Facebook, they have a server room. They have a server room bigger than a big Walmart. All the servers over there, right? This is only for the server. Probably it is as big as a subdivision for their servers, right? So they have the servers where all of the database, all of the images. See, remember, billions of people using Facebook. They have hundreds of some of the people who have thousands of images in their profile, right? So those images, let's say you have a Facebook profile, you have hundreds of images, right? Those images are available. When you are trying to visit them, you can see them. But where are they located? They are located in Facebook server, where they have big servers located there. Now, when Facebook is being used, they are also measuring those servers. What is the percent? Like, let's say they have 1 billion of users. 1 billion of users. How much percentage of their CPU being used? How much percentage of their RAM in the server RAM being used? They are constantly monitoring it, right? They are constantly monitoring it. You never see like Facebook is down. Probably very hard. You will see Facebook is down, and they are constantly adding more users, right? Every day they are getting like hundreds of thousands of new users, right? So they have performance tested, and then the product is on the market. Now after that, user is increasing, so they are constantly monitoring actually what is their CPU usage, what is the RAM usage, right? They are constantly monitoring. That's why it is a so perfect system, right? So what they are monitoring what is their CPU usage, what is their memory usage, what is their disk usage. They are monitoring everything. Now, so these two things, workload and transaction response time. Now previously I said response time. Now I am saying transaction response time. They are same thing. Transaction response time for a transaction, how long it is taking, how long the server takes to respond. Now what do we mean by a transaction?
Transaction can be, is checking your balance, making a payment, then making those sort of things.
Now transaction, remember, in performance testing we will use transaction as when you are doing something, if it is, remember, when you are doing something on an application, if it sends a request to the server, remember, if you are doing something on the application, if it sends request to the server, right, then it is we will say then it is a transaction. Okay. Now how will I know if it is sending a request to the server? How will I know that? Right?
The link and the notification, then you send it like that.
Okay. Now let me tell you one thing. So our tool will tell us if there is any if there is any request going to server. Okay, we will see in our real, probably today we will see we are doing something in the application but it is not putting any request to the server. So when a web application is developed, right, so there are some dynamic thing that is on the browser. That is on the browser means it is not using server. So it is using your computer to generate those. They are built on the client side. One is server side, one is client side. So when you are using that application, there are something when you load the browser, with browser it is loaded. When you click on something, then it comes. Right? Let's say, let me give you a specific example. Let's say, let me give you a specific example. Okay, I'll give you an example later on. Just for now, remember, when you are using an application, some of the requests are getting data directly from server. Some of the requests are getting data locally by using JavaScript or some other dynamic content. We generate in the front end. Just they do not interact with the server, right? So that kind of thing. We in our tool today, at the later of the session, we will know how we can see which transaction is going to the server. We will see that today by Figler. Okay.
Basically, any communications it goes to the centralized data.
Yeah, centralized data, or for any communication, if it needs to bring something from server, then those transactions we will be calling as transaction. If it is not going to the server, then we will not tell it transaction. So we will see later on what will be our transaction, what will not be our transaction. Okay. We will discuss it at a later session. Now, performance testing can serve different purpose, like it can demonstrate that the system meets performance criteria. By performance testing, we can tell that if the system is performing the criteria, performance criteria. Okay. It can compare two systems to find which performs better, or it can measure what part of the system or workload causes the system to perform badly. So it can, by performance testing, you can compare two systems, which is performing better, which is performing poorly, and you can say for which component the system is performing badly. Let's say you have login, you have payment system, you have product inquiry, right? So when you performance test, you can say which part is making your application slow.
We find that out before the production.
Before the production, we do all kind of, most of the performance testing we do before production.
Before UAT and after UAT.
Sometimes it is before UAT, sometimes it is after UAT. Most of the time it is after UAT.
Recommended after UAT.
After UAT, yeah.
Then question is, we said, then we find out system is performing poorly or not. But we are conducting all the tests. We are also analyzing. We are also measuring and also performing all the tests. Then what else left?
Go ahead.
Then why it is still performing poorly?
After doing all kind of testing,
Right?
so if we do all kind of testing, and after that if it still perform poorly, that means we didn't do performance testing on right parameters. Like, let's say probably we did performance testing in the actual system, 1000 people is using the system, but we performance tested it for 500 users, and for 500 users it was good, but for 1000 users it is not performing good. You got it? Okay. Then, in brief, performance test reveal how a system behaves and responds during various situations. A system may run very well with only 1000 concurrent users, but how would it run with 100,000 concurrent users? In terms of performance, we wish to achieve high speed, scalability and stability of the system. So, performance testing, when you are using, let's say if there is 1000 concurrent users, the system is performing good, but by doing performance test we can measure when the user will be 100,000 how the system will perform. And there are three terms I have here: speed, scalability, stability. These three terms we can measure by performance testing. What is that? Speed, scalability and stability. I will be going through in the following session about these three terms more. Let me move forward with the next slide. Why performance testing? Now, why performance testing? To determine application's speed, stability, scalability. Okay? We know what is speed, right? What is speed? How fast it works, okay? What is stability and scalability? I have further slides. I will discuss it. Performance testing uncovers what needs to be improved before the product goes to market when it is required. So what it is doing, performance testing uncovers. It uncovers what needs to be improved before the product goes to market when it is required. Okay. Performance testing will determine whether or not their software meets speed, scalability, stability requirements under expected workloads. These three terms I will be discussing in the further slides. Applications sent to market with poor performance metrics due to non-existent or poor performance testing are likely to gain a bad reputation and fail to meet expected sales goals. Now, if you send a product in the market without performance testing or poorly performance tested, then it might bring bad reputation for your business, and because of that your sales, you might miss your sales goal. Critical application always should be performance tested to ensure that they run for a long period of time without deviation. Let's say in a hospital where critical patients get oxygen by a computer system, so that computer system should be performance tested before it goes there, right? Let's say one computer or computer system is regulating the power in this whole subdivision, right? So if, let's say, a nuclear plant where electrical power system is regulated by a computer system, that computer system should be performance tested for long time, so that it performs good for longer duration, because there is no chance that computer system goes down and then the plant goes down, right? So critical software, critical web application, critical computer system should be performance tested in details thoroughly. Okay. Importance of performance goal 1, page speed. Okay. Now, page speed. We have discussed about 3 topics: speed, scalability, and then stability. Now let's discuss something about your scalability. Speed. Okay. Let's say you are purchasing something from an e-commerce site, right? And you choose the product, and then let's say the price of the product is a couple of hundred. You are trying to make payment. So when you are making payment, if you see, you submit the payment, you input information, finally you submitted it, and then you saw it is processing, long time processing. You never know if the payment is gone or if your payment is not gone. Let's say in the midnight you are trying to purchase it, and then it is a couple of $100 purchase, and then it is loading, and probably the payment is gone. It is still loading. Probably payment doesn't go through. Now you are kind of in a frustrating situation. Do I need to submit the payment again, or I already made the payment? So on that situation, how will you feel? Like the gentleman in the screen, right? The gentleman in the screen trying to do something with the computer, right?
Frustrating.
Frustrating, right?
Right.
Frustrating.
And last time we tried to close the computer.
Yes. So lot of time in our real life we see situation like that, right? So there is a poll, according to Harris 2015 poll, 46% of shoppers have said that they will never return to a slow site. Remember, everything is for business, right? People is developing website for business, but business will be coming from what? From customers. Customer is the lifeblood of any business, right? In a human body, if there is no blood, then human gone. Customer, if a business, even you are giving gold, let's say you are giving gold free, but if no people comes, does your business worth anything? No. So customer is the lifeblood of any business. Now, a real poll was performed in 2015, and they found that 46% of the people say they will not go to a slow website. Right? Can you imagine how important it is that a web application will be performing expected speed? If it is not, if the speed is not as expected, how badly it is affecting the business, right? So it is very important, right? Now, in performance testing, we measure that speed. So it is you can imagine that it's a very important testing, right? Then let's come to benefits of higher page speed. Okay, benefits of higher page speed, like if the speed is higher, you can see gentleman here is really celebrating, right? High speed of the internet, high speed of the system. Now, most importantly, the faster the website, the more revenue it will generate, right? Walmart trailed its competitors online until they made improvements. When Walmart started their e-commerce, their system were not that much fast and they were trailing the other competitors. So they brought it faster, and then for every 1 second of improvement to load time, the site experienced up to 2% improvement in conversion rate. So when they were improving their website, they saw for 1 second improvement in performance load time, 2% improvement in the revenue, right? Then Intuit, another organization, Intuit cut load time in half. Their load time, whatever, let's say their load time was 30 seconds, they cut it to half and saw an increase of 14% in financial conversions. GQ, another organization, decreased its average load time from 7 to 2 seconds and saw 83% increase in traffic. Only few seconds different, and they saw like huge amount of more customers coming to their site. So it is that much important, the speed of a web application. Okay. Then importance of performance goal 2, scalability. What is scalability? Let's come to the point. What is scalability? So our another colleague Nipa sent an email last night that she is having a trouble with her car. Now she will not be able to attend the class. Let's see if she can join from online. Let me pause the recording. Now let's come to the point, folks. Scalability. Not only is speed an important goal for performance, but scalability tests are extremely important if you want more users to interact with the system. Now, how many more users can you support if you add another CPU to the server? Right? How long will the page take to load with this addition? These are all important things to know. So, one other thing, remember as I said in the beginning that Facebook, every day they are having hundreds of thousands of new users, right? Now, when they are performance testing, they need to know, like they are increasingly they are having new users. Now then they need to know, let's say after 15 days they will have 500 more thousands of users, right? So to make their system capable of handle the extra load, how many resources, how many processors, how many what is the size of the RAM they need to add to the system, right? So by a scalability test we are measuring, remember we are measuring for one CPU, let's say we have 4 CPU, by 4 CPU and we have 30 GB RAM in the server, by that resource how many customers we are serving, right? Then by 4 CPU and 30 GB of RAM, if we are serving, let's say 100,000 customers, right? Let's say 100,000 customers as an example. Then by one CPU, how many customers we are serving? 25,000, right? by 4 CPU, just I'm giving you an example. By 4 CPU, our application can serve 100,000 customers. So by 1 CPU, how many customers we will be able to serve? 25,000. So we can, in that way, we can scale. Let's say if we are expecting 150,000 customers after 6 months, then we can plan accordingly. We'll have to add 2 more. We'll have to add 2 more CPUs, right? So by scalability test, we scale the system. Okay? Is it meaningful?
The last line, what did you say? How we determine?
We scale the system, like for increased number of users or for decreased number of users. If your customer decrease, then you do not want to keep all the resources for that system. You want to reduce some resources. So you scale how many users you will be able to serve by how many resources. So by scalability test, we can measure that.
Whatever we have, and then we see how many users we can support.
Yeah. And for the expected number of users, what is the resource we will need? Yeah. You reduce.
We are using from the experience whatever the record they have, right? But for future prediction, because you have to stress, like if this will increase, then we will support this many users. We determine from the scalability, but how we make the prediction, because that's what.
Okay, the prediction comes in that way. Let's say last 2 years you have seen a trend that every year your users are increasing by 10%, right? Last 2 year or 3 year trend, you saw that whatever users, let's say in the beginning of the year you have, in the next year you are having 10% more users, right? So let's say, so if you see that trend, you will be able to measure how many. We always take our decision from our business trend. So if our business trend say we are having every year 10% increase of the users, then we plan accordingly.
They're going to provide this information.
Yeah. You don't need to. You will get it from business. This information, performance engineers, they got this information from the business. Business means like who is actually, let's say in a car company, right? In a car company, business are the dealers. Like let's say Ford, right? They have thousands of dealers. So dealers are giving you those data, and in their corporate office software team, they are producing the software according to the data from business dealers.
Okay, and this information will be given into the template?
Into the template. Remember, we are talking about a document, performance process document or speeds and feeds. These information will be coming on that document. Speeds and feeds. Speeds and feeds. Okay. Then let's move forward. Importance of performance goal, stability. Now, when you are testing stability, remember a website. If you test it for 10 minutes, it might perform good. But if you test it for 4 hours, you might see performance degradation. Performance might degrade. Remember, you are testing a web application, right? You are testing a web application. That web application might perform very good for 10 minutes when you are running test. But if you run the test for 4 hours or 8 hours, you might see after 4 hours, the system is breaking. The system is not able to handle the load. So when you are testing, you need to test that the application is stable. It is giving stable performance for longer duration of time.
So
long time. So we do longer version of test as well to make sure that software performs as it's supposed to when we are using it for longer time. So the most problem that might arise from a longer test is memory leak. Memory leak. So what is memory leak? What is memory leak? Let me give you an example. When you run a test for longer duration, as I said, the maximum problem that can come is memory leak. Memory leak is, let's say, you are doing a transaction. You are purchasing something from a site. So when you are making a transaction, then this transaction reserve some memory in the server system memory, right? Let's say if you make 1,000 transactions, for each of the transactions it reserves how many? For each of the transactions it reserves, let's say, 1 megabyte of memory in the server. So for 1,000 transactions, how many memory it will reserve in the server? 1,000 megabytes, right? 1,000 megabytes. So for one transaction, when you are making one transaction, it is reserving 1 megabyte of memory in the server. So for 1,000 transactions, it will reserve how many? 1,000 megabyte of memory in the server. So if you test it for 1 hour, let's say in 1 hour it will make 1,000 transactions. So how many megabyte of memory will be reserved? So when developers develop the software, they might have code in the system. They are reserving a memory, but then they are not freeing that memory. When you reserve a memory in your code, you will have to mechanism to free that memory. So if you run the test for 1 hour, from 1,000 transactions, it will be reserving 1,000 megabyte of memory. But if you run it for 8 hours, how many megabyte of memory it will be reserving? 8,000 megabyte of memory. 8,000 megabyte means around 8 gigabyte of memory. So if your server has 4 gigabyte of memory, then if you run the test for 8 hours, then after 4 hours it will be down, because it will not have enough memory, because the developer didn't have code to free up the memory, and then you are running a test and it is consuming all the memory, and the system was not able to handle the load. So that's why we run longer duration of test to test the stability of the system. So sometimes unintentionally in the code, developers have some logic. Because of the logic, it is continuously building memory. It is continuously consuming memory, and there will be situation and it will not be releasing that memory. So if you run longer duration of test, then it will, after a certain time, there will be no more memory left, and the system will not be able to handle the load, and it will be crashing. So so stability, by performance testing, we can measure the stability of the system by running longer duration of tests, right?
So this is memory leak.
Yeah, this is memory leak. Now, difference between performance load and stress testing. So far, like, how are we understanding the topics that we are discussing so far? So good. Okay. Now the topics that we are going to discuss is difference between performance load and stress testing. Now it is performed to evaluate performance testing. It is performed to evaluate the performance of an web application in a specific situation. Here in performance testing, when we are talking about performance testing, it is performance testing, we are talking about a reasonable load, and by putting that reasonable load, it is probably the maximum load the system used, and we test the application by providing that load for a certain duration. Web applications performance being measured while the system is being used by concurrent users using multiple business scenarios of the same application at the same time. Now in performance, multiple scenario involved, and we put a reasonable load, normally it is the maximum load, and then we measure how system behaves in performance testing. Then in load testing, we put maximum load, like we increase the load gradually, and we see maximum how much load the system can handle in load testing. Normally,
We do with whatever concurrency is there. Right?
we continuously keep increasing until we see the system as much load as the system can handle, and then we use generally a single scenario here. All of the users will be executing one scenario in load testing, right? And then in stress testing, what we do, we put extra stress so that the system, we want to measure when it is, we want to see when it is broken down, when the system is crashed. We want to see at what load the system is
So
crashed.
it is for stress testing also for multiple scenarios?
Stress testing, it could be involve multiple scenarios, it could be involve one scenario. But here we are talking about trying to break the system under test by overwhelming its resources or by taking resources away from it. Sometimes we put extra load that system cannot handle. Can you see that horse? He is not able to handle the load, and
It looks like donkey.
a horse or donkey. And sometimes we take resources out, we put extra load and take resources. Let's say we take RAM out, we take processor out, and we put extra load to see like when it is breaking, at what number of users it is breaking.
So we take out the capacity and we give load to the application
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
check the stress, right?
Yeah, we stress the system by taking out some resource, and then we measure same amount of load, how it is behaving. So it will be crashing because of it has less resource, right? So in stress testing, we put excessive amount of load so that the application crashed. Now let's go to there is another, like average load or endurance performance testing. So endurance performance testing, we see if the software system is able to endure for a longer duration of time. So we run endurance load test with average load. Okay. Now we have discussed about peak load. What is the peak load? Saturday lunchtime between 12 to 1. 12 to 1 is maximum 200 customers in the restaurant, right? That is the peak load. And then there is the average load. Like average load, you see, in average you might see 50 to 75 customers using that restaurant, right? This is average load. So when we are doing longer duration of test, we do it with average load. Average load, we run the test for longer duration to see if there is any memory leak, right? Endurance test, we run it for longer duration with average load, normally with average load, average number of users. You got it? Any question? Yeah, average load test or endurance performance testing we do with average load for longer duration of time. Okay. Then we have, the goal is to discover how the system behaves under sustained use. That is to ensure that the throughput and or response times after some long period of sustained activity are as good or better than the beginning of the test. Okay. So the response time when you start the test, it is as it is after 8 hours, right? I have brought another term here, throughput. I will be giving you more information like what is throughput. It is a performance term. I will be giving you more information on throughput in the later section of the slide. It is basically used to check memory leaks. Endurance test is basically used to check memory leaks. Peak load performance testing. Peak load performance testing is where when we are putting maximum load that is coming to the system. we check the application, we test the application by putting peak load, and if you only performance test what your average load is for a normal day, you would not be able, we would not be testing this type of peak conditions. Remember, peak load is not the average load. A good practice is to find the peak load for your website during your performance planning phase, okay, and build your test to exercise that load. A website unable to support its peak traffic is an unsuccessful website. So if the restaurant is not able to handle, peak customers, then remember, guess what will happen? It will lose its reputation, because many people will be coming to the restaurant and they will see, oh, everyone will be affected by the performance, right? So peak load, you do performance testing, must you do the performance testing using peak load, okay? What should be tested? Now, $5. $5 is going to our fund where we will bring something to the club. Okay? Remember, it is coming with the next payment. Okay, what should be tested? High frequency transactions. High frequency transactions, the most frequently used transactions, have the potential to impact the performance of all of the other transactions if they are not efficient. High frequency transactions is, remember, a restaurant system. Some of the food many people use, like one dish is a very popular, let's say chicken tikka masala, okay, many people taste it. Now you must want to test that transaction, okay, so that it will be affecting more customers, right, and it might slow down other processes. So you want to keep that, you must want to keep that high frequency transactions. Then mission critical transactions. You might see some of the transactions, they are not that much frequent, but they are very important transactions, right? In a website, many people come. Let's say Amazon, many people come. They look for products. High frequent transaction. Yeah, high frequent transaction. Let me see. High frequency transactions could be, if you consider Facebook, right? If you consider Facebook, must they will be logging. After login, they might not do anything. They might be visiting. They might be liking. They might be putting comment. But login is a must transaction. That is the most high frequent transaction. Got it? And then mission critical transaction. Now let's consider Amazon. Okay. Many people come to Amazon, they look for products, they browse different products, but not many people purchase. But the purchase is a mission critical transaction. Although many people do not purchase, many people come to the website, probably let's say out of 100 people, 20% people purchase things from Amazon, right? Out of 100 people, 100 people visit the site, but 20% purchase. So that transaction is less in number, but it is a very mission critical transaction. So you want to include it in your performance testing. Read transactions. Okay. Now read transactions, at least one read only transaction should be included, so that performance of such transactions can be differentiated from other more complex transactions. Now read transactions is when you, let's say when you go to your bank statement, when you go and check your statement, you are reading data from their server, right? Server. But when you are transferring money from one account to another, or from one to a friend, or to another company, then actually you are writing data. When you are reading your statement, then it is a read only transaction. You are not writing anything to their database. But when you are making a transaction, then you are updating their database, updating the numbers in your profile, right? So you want to keep at least one read-only transaction and update transaction. What is update transaction? Where we are
retrieving from data.
where we are updating their database by making transactions, right? So you want to keep these four type of transactions in your performance testing. So when you do functional testing, if you have 100 test cases, right? Do you think when you do performance testing you will have 100 test cases? No. When you do functional testing, manual or automation, if you have 100 test cases, and when you are doing performance testing, do you think you will be testing for performance testing for 100 test cases? No.
If we can do for that, why not for this one?
No, otherwise we need all of them for functional.
Okay, someone say no. Who?
Wrong.
Okay. Why not for all of the test cases? It was good.
Why you thought like that?
Tell us. You have to speak in the interview. Go ahead. Right.
Repeat the question one more time.
The question is, when we have functional testing or manual testing, we have 100 test cases. But when you do performance testing, will we bring all of these 100 test cases to do performance testing? No. The simple answer is no, because performance testing we do only we take a subset of the test cases, and we do not do performance testing for that longer period. We have a shorter duration. Within shorter duration, lot of tasks. In performance testing, lot of tasks. So script development is one of the tasks. If you have 100 test cases to develop a script, it will take very long time. So what we do, we bring mission critical, high frequency transactions, and minimum number of read transactions, minimum number of update transactions, and then we generate script, and then
We categorize and then we separate them and then we do that.
we ask them, like the business team, give us some very important test cases, and then they select from their end 5 or 6 or 10 test cases, and then they send it on the speeds and feeds or process document, and we just develop. So they take the decision what are the test cases. Yeah, which one is the important mission critical, which one has update transaction, which one has read transaction. They will think it and they will be sending it to us. If they need instruction, so guys, can you give us an instruction what should we select? Then we tell them, when you are selecting test cases, keep these 4 terms in your mind. That's it. And then they will be giving you test cases. They will be asking you recommendation. Can you suggest what type of test case you are looking for performance testing? They will try to give you as many test cases as possible from their end. But you will say, we cannot handle that many. Now give us some important test cases. Then they will ask you, probably, if they are experienced, they know what to do. Sometimes they will ask you, can you let us know what type of scenario you are looking for? Then you say them that we are looking for that type of.
We categorize different things among the team, right?
Among the team.
Every system you always work with performance testing, or there is a situation you don't have.
Not always, if it is required, then it will work.
95% of the time there will be performance testing. 95%. And remaining 5% there will be performance testing. Sometimes, some application they have a concurrency of only 10 users. Concurrency maximum 10 users use the system at a time. In that situation also people come for performance testing to performance team, but sometimes let's say they have 10 people in the team, so 10 people sit together and manually do the performance testing. But there is always, in industry there is always performance testing. Okay?
We are learning load runner. What is load runner?
We'll go through later. I have in the slide. I have it.
Oh, okay.
I have it. Okay. I know this question will come. I have it.
Yeah,
I have the
that's what I'm
information.
trying to understand.
Yeah, I have the information. Alright. So, performance testing process. Performance testing process. Now, performance testing process, if you can see from the screen, plan, load test. Remember when you are when you are doing manual testing, you prepare your test plan, right? When you are doing performance testing, you have to prepare your test plan. Everywhere test plan. So you already know how to prepare a test plan, right? Most of the time there will be a template where you will be plugging your test. You don't need to prepare a test plan from scratch. So if you if your company is not really a startup, then there is some kind of template. You plug your data on the template. Or if you even if it is a startup, as a QA learner, you are learning QA here and you have a template in your hand. If your organization doesn't have a template, you can bring it and you can introduce your template to the organization and then you can do it. Okay. Then create views and scripts. So in plan load test, in planning phase, we have define goals, analyze system, gather system uses data in the planning phase. Remember, in the planning phase, performance, process, document or system phase. Over there we are gathering all kind of this data. Then we have create views, and after you have planned it, next step is creating scripts. Creating scripts. So creating scripts, record scripts, and then do all kind of modification on it. In performance, remember, unlike UFT, where you are not recording always. Most of the time you will be using descriptive programming or you will be using objective positivity. In performance, there is always it starts with recording. First you record and then you modify some parameters. So good thing, it starts always with recording. Always you will have to record.
We have to do parameterization.
After that you will have to do parameterization. Okay. After that you will have to do parameterization.
You don't write scripts like all the way down.
You write a lot of things. You record and then you write a lot of things. You put in between, in your recording, you
Then
put
you
more.
then you set it up,
Yeah,
right?
you set it.
Like you said, develop script,
Yeah.
test script, this is the process.
This is the
Develop.
process. Now, what is the process? First, planning. Gather information, prepare your test plan, gather all the uses, okay? And then create views and scripts where what you are doing, recording scripts, and then you do tuning up the script. Adding user correlation. There is a term. Remember, correlation. Correlation is the hardest part that you will face. Correlation. If you can do correlation, you are a performance tester. If you can do correlation. One thing, correlation. If you can do correlation on a script, you are a performance engineer. Yes. 80%, 70% of my task is performance testing. And also, I provide training over there in the lab. So, create views and scripts, and then scenario creation. Once your 4 or 5 scripts are ready, then you incorporate all of the scripts together. You put number of users, right? And then this is called scenario. Scenario means how many, like you have a login, how many users will be doing login. You have a browsing catalog, how many users will be browsing catalog, and you have a let's say making transactions, how many users will be making transactions. You do some setup. There are some other setup. I'm just giving you some common setup. So you create scenario, and then after you create the scenario, you execute. Execute means you click on a play button and it starts executing all the scenario. And after execution, during execution, you monitor data. During execution, you monitor while you are executing, you monitor how it is going on. You can monitor what is the response time. You can monitor what is the resource uses. Okay, what is the resource uses, and then after the execution, you do analysis.
So during the execution, you have to watch it all the time.
You have to watch it. When you are executing a test, you are sitting in front of computer, you are watching, and many of the times you will see people from, you are executing, people from different teams, you are sharing your screen, people from different teams, they are watching too. There might be people in the server who are watching server users when you are executing test. Okay, and then after analysis, if you see something wrong, then you suggest something, or on your suggestion, or if they see something is wrong, they do analysis why it is taking so long, and based on the analysis they tweak the system, they make modification in the system, then you execute the test again to see if the performance is improved.
When you modify the system, do we go through the process again, or you?
Sometimes, let's say, if there is a modification, many of the times when they are modifying code. So if they modify code, you will have to develop the script again, and then you will have to execute it again. But sometimes they do modification, but it doesn't affect code. They tune other parameters. Then you can just execute.
Let's say they increase the RAM.
Yeah. They didn't modify code. They just increase resource. You don't need to modify your code. You can just execute.
Okay, analyzing the code.
So after your analysis, you prepare a report. Good thing is, most of the data that you are preparing, there is an analysis tool. You will get most of the data from there, and you prepare a report, and then you give a walkthrough of your report to different teams. You prepare some slides, and then you give walkthrough to different teams.
Prepare some kind in
PowerPoint.
So
It could be a PowerPoint, it could be a PDF report, it could be a document. It depends on what is your organization using. Okay. All right. So this is the performance testing process. Now, if you take a look, load test configuration for web system. Load test configuration for web system. Now, we have been in our previous class. Before I go for this discussion, let me go through. We are on 15th slide. We have 10 more slides to go. Let me start the discussion. So we were in this slide, load testing configuration for web application. Now, can you see this diagram clearly? In the real, can you see, like, there is 6 users here in this set, 5 users. They are connected to the internet by Wi-Fi or cable. Okay, and from the internet, when they are accessing, let's say you are accessing Facebook, first this request go through a firewall. Firewall means, actually, if there is any malicious attack, firewall filter, like firewall, there is a technology in firewall where, if there is any attack, if there is any kind of malicious intent of the going to Facebook, from firewall, it can protect it. It has technology. Okay, and then from firewall the request go to load balancer, but from the firewall the request go to load balancer. Now, what does load balancer do? As I said, for Facebook, you might see hundreds of servers, thousands of servers, right? So when people are requesting from around the world, the request comes to the load balancer, and load balancer balance this load. Let's say at a given time, one server is already handling its maximum request, so it will balance the load to all of the servers. There are hundreds, thousands of servers in Facebook. So load balancer, what load balancer does, it distributes the load in a balanced way among the servers. So the requests are coming from around the world, and load balancer distributes those requests to the servers in a balanced way, so that a particular server do not get extra stress, so that the load distributes among the servers. Is it meaningful?
Yes.
Okay. Then you can see there are web servers, there are application servers, there are database servers. So it happens accordingly. From web servers, there are less number of application servers. Some of the requests go to application servers, and then from application servers they communicate to database servers, where you have all the records. Remember, when you update, when you send a transaction to someone, you are writing data into database, and database is located in database server.
So the load balancer
Always over there, right?
Always over there,
Right after firewall.
right after firewall, to balance the load among the
Only
server.
one functionality, just balance it and then.
Balance it, and that's it. Load balancer do the balancing of load in a balanced way to the servers.
So who is monitoring and profiling the balancing?
Load balancer to monitor load balancer, there is a team. In bigger organization, there are teams who is looking after the load balancer team.
How much load needed? How much load we are needed for running the server?
For running the server means what? What is the question?
For web server, application server, and database server. So load server,
Load balancer.
load balancer, load balancer is I think load balancer is I'm going to explain that load balancer is taking distributes the load web server, application server, and database server. I see the web server is use 5 servers and 2 server and 1 server.
Yeah.
So how much they are used? How much they are used? How many people are? How much they use the web server, application server, and database server? They control the load balance.
Load balancer. Yeah.
So we can.
They have all of them. The server control is a load balance.
Load balancer distribute the load
Is,
to the web servers, and from web servers, if they need, it go to application server. If they need, it go to database server.
Server decide where.
Yeah, where like web server, from web server, if it needs to access database server, it will go to a database server. If it needs to go to application server, it will go to application server.
So that would be like good example as a stabilizer.
You can,
Yeah.
the example will be, let's say there is a big conference going on here, right? There are some people here, audience are coming, so there are a group of people here. When people are coming, they are distributing, oh, that area is busy, can you go to that area? Okay, that area, it seems less full, can you go to that area? That area is nearly full, now can you, they decide where you sit, where you go for your subject.
It just by default it's balanced.
Yeah, it's a program, it has program to, look after which web server has less load and balance the
So
load.
the performance testing activity directly goes to the load balancer, the load.
Now, when we are doing performance testing, see, when as a user you use the system, but when you are doing performance testing, you use controller or performance center. From controller, you have load generator where it is creating load, and those load directly go to load balancer, and from load balancer this load is balanced among the servers. So here controller has the script. Controller has the script scenario, and this scenario is generating load using this load generator. When you are executing, you have load generator machine where these loads are being generated from this machine, and those loads go to the server.
Okay, so it's a separate machine like a server.
Yeah,
Different
yeah,
story.
yeah. Again, these load generators are like something like servers who are generating the loads for the website. Okay. Remember, when you are using, consider it in that way. When you are using Facebook in your computer, right? You are using certain amount of your CPU and RAM. When you are using Facebook plus Twitter in the same computer, then you are increasing usage of CPU and RAM. When you are using Facebook, Twitter, and then wellsfargo.com, then you are using more resources, right? So the load is generating, and those load is consuming resources from your computer, and then this consuming resources from your computer and pulling some data from where? From the Facebook server, from Twitter server, from Wells Fargo servers. Now load are generating here, and those load are accessing information from other servers. So load generator, what it does, when you are using that application, it is generating the load on that machine, on the load generator, and this load is coming from the servers of the application. Is it meaningful what I say?
Yes.
Okay.
It basically measures the impact.
Yeah, measures the impact. Right. So here load balancer is distributing. The thing that I want to make you understand here is load generator, load controller, and how firewall, load balancer contribute to the performance testing. Okay. Let me move forward. Then manual testing limitations. Okay. As I said, sometimes if you see less number of users in a system, sometimes they do not come to performance test. Instead, they set up their performance test by 10 people. They sit at a time and do the operations, and they measure the performance. If there is a low concurrency. But if you want to do the process manually, how it goes? Can you see coordinator? Coordinator give instruction to the people. Okay, do that. Go to the application, log in, and those people do the task together, and it go to application server, right? And after the test, right, you analyze the result manually. You analyze the result manually. Now, can you see coordinator? Can you see coordinator here? So load controller is the coordinator. When you do automatic performance test, controller is the load controller, or HP performance center. Two things. Load controller and performance center do the same thing. It is the coordinator, and load generator actually are these people. Those testers are in the load generator, and they generate load from load generator. In manually, these people generate load in automatic way. From load generator they generate load, and those load go to web server and database server, wherever they need to go. When you do manual testing, it goes like that. When you do manually load testing, then let's come to the manual testing limitation. Expensive, requiring large accounts of users, and then involves high degree of organization. You have to set up many people. Hey guys, can you remain available on that time? Repeatedly manual test is limited. Like if you are doing performance testing manually, then if you have got problem, right, then you have to do it again. Then another organization, that kind of limitation is there. Then when you do it using automatic performance testing, then can you see controller controller machine is there, and then from controller machine load generator is generating the load, and this load is going to have an application server, and then if you need to repeat, you just from controller you click and all the resources are there, you do the test automatically, performance test automatically by using tools, right? So it is again the controller is here, controller coordinator, and then we have load generator where we are generating load, and these load are going to have an application server. And
Can I
the
ask you a question?
Sure.
Controller and load balancer is the same thing.
No, controller is giving the instructions. Controller is creating the where all the scenarios are there. Controller is having the if you go there, controller is saying do this, do this, do this.
Okay.
But do this, but when it is happening in the load generators, and then from load generators load are going to the server.
I mean load balancer.
Load are going to the load balancer, and from load balancer it is going to the server. It is among the servers. Now again, using automation tool, it is easy to create report, it is easy to rerun test, it is easy to analyze it, right? So this is the benefit of automation tools. Now what are concurrent users, right? What are concurrent users? We already discussed. I have the gas station example here. The same thing we have already discussed. I am going to skip that logic now. What is throughput? Okay, what is throughput? The other topic that I said I will be discussing. What is throughput? Throughput is, if you can see the graph here, basically throughput is the amount of transactions produced over time during a test. Okay. Now also, before starting a performance test, it is a common to have a throughput goal that the application needs to be able to handle a specific number of requests or bytes per hour, right? You can see that, you know, bytes per second, okay, and then you can see test is running. So when you design a performance testing scenario, remember the way we design. Let's say we have 1000 users, right? 1000 users who will be operating on different situations. The way we design that 1000 users do not go to the application at a time. What we do, we ramp up the users. Remember, when you go to highway, what you do? You go slowly, you go to the lane, and then you speed up, right? So same way, in load test, if you have 1000 users, you ramp up the users, let's say 100 users every 10 seconds, right? So you have 1000 users. If you ramp up 100 users every 10 seconds, how many seconds it will take for 1000 users to ramp up? 100 seconds, right? For 1000 users to be fully ramped up, first, you know, after 10 seconds, 100 users will be starting using the application. After 20 seconds, another 100 users will be adding with the 100. Now after 30 seconds, another 100 users will be added. After 40 seconds, another 100 users will be added. In that way, after 100 seconds, all the 1000 users will be ramped up, and then they will be using the system. So throughput, can you see in the beginning, users throughput is when 100 user is in the system, then let's say we have 10 water tape here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, 10 water tape here. Then when 5 people will be using those water tape, there is a master pipe, right? Master pipe. From the pipe, when 5 people will be using water from this tape, the amount of water that will be passing through the master pipe, and then when 10 people will be using the 10 tape, the amount of water passing through the master pipe doesn't be different, right? When 5 people is using per second or per minute, probably 10 gallon of water will be passing. But when 10 people will be using every minute, probably 20 gallon of water will be passing every minute throughout the 5 every minute, right? Right? So throughput is when 100 user is using the system, how many bytes of data is passing per second or per minute. When 100 user is using the system, and then when 1000 user is using the system, definitely every minute through the master data pipeline, for 100 users, the amount of data will be passed through. The amount of data that will be passed through for 1000 users will be 10 times bigger, right?
Basically,
So throughput measures the amount of data passes through the system on a given time. That is throughput.
It's basically the flow of CPU and RAM uses.
Here we are measuring data. How many bytes of data? How many bytes of data being passed through the master pipeline? Master data pipeline.
Measuring the data, it is automatically.
It is automatically measured by analysis tool. Can you see the graph? That graph will be prepared by your analysis tool. Good thing is, it is when you do manually, it is very hard to measure. But when you have a tool, it will generate a graph in that way to show you, on 10 seconds of the test, that many bytes of data we are going through the system.
And where is that tool available?
We will learn everything here. We will learn everything here. Okay? So it will tell you, okay, on 15 seconds of the test or 15 minutes of the test, that many bytes of data we are going through the system. Okay? That is what throughput is. Then I have tools used for performance testing. Now, tools used for Hasina Babi, I am answering a question. We have open source tool, we have commercial tool. Okay, open source tool, for open source tool you do not need to make any payment. You just use them. You use them. You write a script, you analyze, you use them. But open source tool has limitations. Limitations mean things that you can do easily in paid tool. It will need more effort in open source tool. You will need to have much more expertise. Okay, open source tool. Open source means free tool that is available in the market. Nobody, like lot of organization is using open source tool, but it needs a lot of expertise and things are sometimes hard to get done with the open source tool. So I have some open source tool. Out of the open source tool, Apache JMeter is the most popular open source tool. It uses Java for scripting. Java, okay? Apache JMeter. Can you see this Apache JMeter here? There are some other open source tool, but most prominent one is the Apache JMeter. And then commercial tool. Can you see LoadRunner? It is the most popular commercial tool, and you can do job with less expertise, and it is very organized. You can do many things with it that is not possible with the open source tool.
Because it has lots of automated functionality.
It has many things people already designed for you, and you purchase the service from them, and now you can use it easily. Okay, and then top 15 commercial open source tool. I took it from internet. You can get some idea. Like here, there are some open source. There are some,
So you
paid tools.
don't suggest to use TrueClient?
TrueClient is a part of LoadRunner. Okay.
Right. So you don't use that.
TrueClient is a part of LoadRunner. Is a protocol. TrueClient is a protocol in LoadRunner. Okay. Right. So I'm just giving an overview of performance testing tools in this slide, and then if you come to JMeter, some features of the open source tool JMeter. It is 100% Java desktop application for web, FTP, Java, SOAP, XML, and JDBC applications. Advantage: open source, the distributed testing, various target system, extensibility, pluggable samplers allow unlimited testing capabilities. Okay, you can build your load generators, and in your load generator you can use JMeter. It has Java. You use Java for scripting. Drawbacks: chart representation quite confused. It has, when you are analyzing, chart representation is sometimes confusing. Any question?
For scripting Java, that means the Java language we use.
Yeah, Java
You
language.
have to be very good on
Yeah, Java. Then terminology not very clear, necessary to start remote machine one by one. Remote machines must be declared in property, like there are some limitations that discuss about those limitations. And then we have HP load runner, our tool that we are going to learn here in this class. We are going to learn HP load runner. Now let me tell you, HP load runner is a perfect solution for performance testing by Hewlett Packard. It is one of the top automation tools for performance testing and has occupied almost 50% of the market share. So load runner itself has 50% job in the market, and remaining 50% is combined with other tools, other paid and not non-paid tools. Okay. Now 50% of the performance testing job is related to load runner. Okay. And then advantage, no need to install it on the server under test. Where you are testing the application, you do not need to install it in those servers. Uses C language for scripting. We will be learning a little bit of C language while we are doing load runner. Excellent monitoring and analysis interface in load runner. Okay. Support most of the protocols. Like when you are testing web application, different web application has different protocols. So most of the protocols are being supported by load runner. Makes correlation in an easier way. Here making correlation, there are easier way of making correlation. And then nice GUI generated script, automated generated script, very nice script that is automatically generated. Excellent tutorials and lot of resources in the internet so that you can get help if you need. Drawbacks. The only drawbacks and disadvantage is that this tool is very costly. For very small organizations, sometimes they find it hard time to use this tool. But this tool is costly. Okay. Then you come to some features of the load runner tool. Now load runner is a set of different tools which help run of performance testing smoothly. Load runner consists of following components. Load runner again a set of tools. Load runner again what? A set of tools. Now virtual user generator or VUGen. VUGen is part of load runner where you write your script, you do record, you do correlation, you do set up your parameters in VUGen. Okay. And then you have controller, as I said, where you create scenario. When you have 5 scripts that you have already generated, you take those scripts in controller and then you execute your test from controller. You put users and you execute test from controller. And then after you execute your test, when you analyze the result, then you use HP analysis. This is another tool. Okay. And then load generator, right? Load generator, as I said, there are server where load generator, there is another component that will be installed. Normally you don't need to install it, tool scheme. Normally in every organization there is a tool scheme. Then install that load generator. In the load is generated from some server. So on those servers there is a tool that people install for generating load to communicate with your controller, so that controller can generate load on those load generators. There is a load generator tool that is installed on those load generator server. Then we have load generator calculator. Now there is a tool that comes with load generator, and when you install load runner, you can get that one under this path, and by that one you can calculate what will be the capability of your load generator, what will be what will be the RAM, what will be the processor of your load generator, or if you know what is the RAM and processor, you can say how many virtual users you can put on that load generator. So by using load generator calculator, normally you don't need to use it, but for interview, just keep your knowledge. Load generator calculator, you use it to make sure how many virtual user you can put on a load generator. Normally you don't use it, we don't use it, but it's better you know what.
It's configuration from there.
Yeah, it is when you install load generator, it install with that.
Okay.
Okay, and then protocol advisor in virtual user generator Vusion, there is a tool called protocol advisor. It comes with that virtual user generator, and protocol advisor, you are like, as I said, there are many protocols in load generator. There are HTTP protocol, there are true client protocol, there are Slack protocol, there are different kind of protocols. So you can run protocol advisor. Sometimes if you are not sure what is the protocol you are going to use, then it will ask you, okay, you can use, if you run protocol advisor will advise you, okay, this is the protocol that you can select, right? So protocol load generator comes with lot of protocols. So some application might work with HTTP protocol, some application might work with other protocols. So by using load protocol advisor, you can decide which protocol you are going to use.
So this tool will find out and
Yeah, it will advise you, okay, you can use that protocol. Okay, and thank you.
Can you take a break?
We can take 5 or 10 minutes break, and then we will be going through a little bit more topics, and then I'm planning to take till 12:30.
Yeah, that's good.
Fine, 12:30. So take 10 minutes break. Actually, let's take 15-minute break, and we will be coming back exactly at what time?
12:35.
It is now 11:35. We will be coming at 11:50. Filter কি হয় রফিক ভাইয়ের কাছ থেকে নিচ্ছেন আপনি?
64 bytes per second. So it's a lot of
Oh, you have compatibility issue, right? Now আপনি কি ইন্টারনেটে কানেক্টেড? Yeah, I'm taking this. Oh, let me stop recording. We have discussed that we can, when we are using an application, from the application we are sending requests to the server. So the requests which are going to the server, those requests will be reflected in our script. Okay. Now, all of you have installed Fiddler, right? All of you have installed Fiddler. Now I'm going to open Fiddler. Let me close all the browsers, and then I'm going to let me try to make it the internet a little bit faster.
Sometimes when some server, if they say they are under construction, actually at that time what they do, update their system?
Oh yeah, update their system.
At that time performance testing happens?
They update their system, building new code, doing performance tests, doing all kind of
because
stuff.
few days ago PayPal, they said they're not they will be maintenance for a reason their page will not be up like credit card. They'll be available on 24. But I was thinking what they're doing in that time. Definitely they're doing some kind of testing.
Yeah, they are doing some kind of testing, deployment, all kind of work. One of the things that I'm going to show you here is, when an application come to us for performance testing, the initial thing, the first thing that we do a bandwidth analysis. Bandwidth analysis. Bandwidth. So bandwidth analysis. What we do, let me type it here. We do a bandwidth analysis. Bandwidth analysis. In bandwidth analysis, what we do, let's say they gave you 5 test cases. Okay, one of the test cases is just logging, Another test case is user registration. Okay. Another test case is, let's say, another site. Let's consider this site. Let's consider this site. Let's consider this new tools demo AU. Right? Let's consider this site. For now, let's consider this site. Let's say we are doing a performance test on this site. And we have how many test cases? 3 test cases. Let me write a couple of test cases here. Okay, let me write a couple of test cases. Yeah, recording. So I'm going to write 3 test cases, and that will be basis of my discussion. Okay. So if I go to, let my application come, and I'll be writing 3 test cases.
Can I ask one question? So you're going to learn from here?
We are going to learn performance testing. Initial step is bandwidth analysis. We are going to learn bandwidth analysis.
It is also part of performance.
Yes. Now let's say we have 3 test case, and test case 1 is actually not in this one. I'm going to create my test case on Microsoft Word. Okay. Okay, I'm going to create a new document, and I'm going to create a new test case. Let's say TC name. What is the site? Demo new tools. Okay, new tools. New tools user registration. Okay, then let me insert a table with 4 column and 8 or 10 rows. Let's say this one is step nong, and then activities step description, expected output, and let's say we have a field called first step. First step, go to this website. Website will be displayed. Second step, when you go to the for user registration, what you will have to do, you will have to click on register, right? So next step will be click on register menu, right? And then when you click on register menu, user registration page will be displayed. User registration page will be displayed. Next question here, input the user registration info, right? I'm trying to
No.
it is not writing all the steps. I'm trying to make it smaller because we don't have time to write all the steps. Input.
But in real life, we have to write it, break it and write it, right? In real life, we have to.
Yeah, input input user id will be displayed, but we are not going in that depth. Input user registration info will be displayed. Okay. Number 4, after you input the info, let's say auto and then last name, code, and then phone, some phone number, email, let's say automate code 11 at automatecode.com. Address, let's say we have some address. City, we have a city, and then let's say we have a zip code, and then username. Let's say username is automate code 11 and password is our common password L uppercase 1 2 3 4 5. Right? If you submit it, right, when you submit it, what do you get? You get Dear automate code, right?
Yes.
You get a page where it say your username is automate code, whatever your username, right? So let me write the step: submit the registration info, right? And then what will I see after submitting the registration info? I will see your a message with the username will be appear. Okay.
We have made a mistake.
What is the mistake?
There are 2 ways.
Sure. Let me remove it. And then let me remove all the other. Can you follow like how I am creating table, how I am deleting cells, right? Make sure you are following, because you will have to do that. Actually, I can select all the row at a time and I can delete them. Okay, this is my first test case. Now, let's go to the next test case. Alright, so if you come test case name, let's say user login. User login, and then go to, it is the common step, and for logging in, let me sign off. And after you sign off, let me go to the site again, because now when you initially go to the site to log in, you will have to click on sign on menu, right? Okay. When you get sign on menu, you will have to input user ID, password, and then you will be submitting, right? So let me put those step here. So you got the website, and then click on what? Sign on menu. When you click on sign on menu, user sign on page will be displayed. Input user credentials and submit it. Okay, when you input user credentials and when you submit it, what is the user that you have created? Automate code 11, and what is our password? L uppercase 1 2 3 4 5. When you submit it, what you get? you get that you are signed in, and then you get Flight Finder, right? And then let's say you get, when you log in, how you make sure that you are logged in? You make sure that use your Flight Finder. You get that text. These texts are only available when you are logged in. So you mention it here. That text related to Flight Finder displayed, right? And let me remove the other part. Okay, this is my second test case. Now let me keep it this one as well. In performance testing, can you see input user registration info? When you are registering, if you do not submit it, nothing happens, right? In performance testing test case, you will keep it input registration info and submit. Is it gone? Input registration info and then submit registration info. Once you have submit the registration info, you will get this message, right? So I'll remove this step 4. So this is another test case that we have. Okay, next I want to write another test case. Let's bring another test case. Are we running out of time for any of you, Dada and Didi? Okay, alright. So TC name, another test case is, let's say when you go to the application, another test case is you come to the application and then click on where? Click on, let's say, destinations. Okay, click on destinations. Okay, then let me update my steps. Go to the site, and next task is click on destination from left navigation bar. So what you get when you click on it, you get, this section of our website is currently under construction, right? So let's say under construction message appears. Yeah. Appear.
Where you say browser, it says PC.
It under construction, it will be on that part. Okay, and let me remove this. Now I have these 3 test cases. Let me save those test cases. Remember one thing, the mistake that you always make, you save it here and there, wherever it directs you, you save it over there. Later on you forget, you don't get it. Okay, again I am reminding you. How will you do that? Can you see, when you are trying to save it, file, save as, right? And then can you see the browse? Click on browse.
Just one question. This is 2016, so people will say browse here, but 2010 or after older version, they will say different.
They will not see here, but
direct page in the browser.
yeah, then it will take you directly to the Explorer. What you do, you come here in the left navigation bar, go to your computer, and then go to your shared drive where you want to save it. Let's say you shared drive here, I want to save it here in 3QLFs. I have a performance testing folder, under performance testing folder, I want to save this. Let's say Mercury to give a meaningful name, test cases, right? Do not save it here and there, make sure. Okay, now I have the test cases saved. Now these are the, let's say from the business you have, they gave you 3 test case for the performance testing. The first thing we start Fiddler. We start Fiddler, and can you see Fiddler is here? Now when you start Fiddler, this is the first time when you will start Fiddler. It is being recorded. What you do, you go to tools, and then can you see Fiddler options? Yes. Tools, Fiddler options, you go there, and from there can you see HTTPS? You will not need that one, but for many of the application, if you are in real application, all of the application will be HTTPS. If you want to test Facebook, it is HTTPS, right? If you go to Wells Fargo, it is HTTPS. It is not HTTP. Do you notice that? So you will go there, and can you see decrypt HTTPS traffic? You will be checking there and click OK.
Yes or no?
Yes, you will go there, tools, Fiddler options, HTTPS, and decrypt HTTPS traffic, click yes, and click whatever they say, click yes, and then click OK. Okay?
Yeah.
Then you have Fiddler, right? Now if you have something here, delete it, select it and delete it, make your Fiddler empty. Left navigation pane, make it empty. Then start your browser. Let me remove this browser and let me bring your browser back. Now can you see when browser is coming, and then let's see what we see in Fiddler. When browser is coming, can you see in Fiddler what is happening?
I'm lost.
So it's speaking, no, that we have selected that, what is this, HTTPS, so it's bringing all the list of HTTPS.
Yes. So I will answer your question. When that HTTPS is only for if you are testing a HTTPS application, a secure application for that. But when you start Fiddler, make this one enable. This is a fast task, one-time task that you do. Then go to Fiddler tools and then decrypt HTTPS traffic. This is the first task, one-time task that you do. When you test HTTPS application, you will need that. But the application that we are going to test, it is not HTTPS. It is a HTTP application. We do not need that, but if you have that, it will not create any issue.
Why do you not need that?
Because we are not, the Mercury tool is not a HTTPS application. Okay, let me show you some.
So we don't have to recite it over there HTTP?
Stop recording and go over them one more time.
No problem. Look, I will go multiple times. No problem. Let me go. So when we are, let me do it again. Let me remove everything. Let me remove everything.
How you are removing the silent?
Control A, delete. Control A and delete. Now come here. Let's say, okay. Let's say, let me go to Facebook again.
The thing is, I'm not doing anything, but it is writing something automatic.
Just concentrate on my screen here.
Okay.
See, one thing, I'm going to Facebook. When I'm going to Facebook, can you see there are some requests generated here? Okay, so what are these requests from? These requests are from when I am opening Facebook. So I am commenting those one. See, this request I got from where? I got from when I am opening Facebook, it is creating these requests. So it is bringing Facebook for me, but in the back end it is making some requests to get those content for me. To bring those content for me, it is bringing some requests. What are those requests? Those requests are, these are the requests that it is making to bring those content from the server.
It's a request or is it processing automatically because of the filter?
Yeah, because of the fiddler, like from my browser, these requests are going to the server.
Sending the request and getting the
Yeah, I'm sending request, getting response, and I am proxying those requests through fiddler. Proxying is, what is proxying? Proxying is, let's say you are passing some data, and you have somewhere a tool who is watching what you are passing. So this fiddler is watching what I am sending to server, what I am getting from server. Okay. Now what I did, I selected all of the requests, right, and then comment them.
how did you
Press Ctrl A and then press M. Press M and then I am putting comment. One other thing, press Ctrl A and then right button, can you see comment?
yeah.
You can press M or you can select comment and then you are writing a comment. What is the comment? You are writing these requests are for what? For opening Facebook, right? These requests are for what? For opening Facebook.
So your name is right?
I just give a name. Can you see under comment? Under comment I am just giving a name so that I know these requests are coming from opening application. Then let me do a login request. Now I am going to do a login request, fake ID, and then I am giving a password, let's say Norcross. Okay, and then I am clicking on, see, when you are typing here it is not doing anything, but in UFT when you are typing it was recording, right? Remember difference. Here it is not doing anything, but here it will do when you
Click
click on
login.
login.
When you submit, then it's processing and bringing. Right?
When you have submitted that request, let me submit it and then let's see what it brings. Can you see it is bringing an incorrect password message? Now let me go to Fiddler. Can you see after opening application there are some other requests generated? Can you see that these are the requests that we have previously? I'm going to mark it as red. So these are the up to these request was for opening application. Now these requests, press shift and then press down arrow. These requests are for what?
Login.
These requests are for login. So this was I will give a number, this was for a failed login, right? This was for a failed login. Now let me show you a couple of things here. When you are submitting the login request, you are submitting login request, but can you see multiple requests are going through, right? Now if you take a look, can you see that login.php here, login.php? So that is the actual request where we are submitting the data. Now if you take a look here, this is the request, and now here this is the request body, and in request body can you see we are supplying user ID and password, but with this it is supplying some other, can you see LSD and then login dim and then this login random and there's some other key it is submitting. We are submitting what? We are submitting the user ID and password. But when the application is sending that, it is sending some other data with our data.
And these are that data as property.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, property values, some other data is going through with our request. Remember, when you log into your Wells Fargo account, you supply user ID and password, but application itself add a session ID with it. Remember, folks, try to focus here. When you log into your Wells Fargo account, you are supplying your user ID and password, but application when submitting this login request, it is submitting other data. What is one of the data will be session ID,
So every time we log in, every time it's generating
a new session ID. And when you are making a transaction after logging in, when you are making a transaction, when you are submitting the transaction, it is submitting the same session ID that you are generating when you log in. If it doesn't get that session ID, the transaction will not happen. The session ID is validating that whatever you are doing, you are authorized, because when you are submitting user ID and password, it generated that session ID. That makes sense?
because otherwise how it's gonna match and then
Yeah.
security.
Yes, this is a secure thing. Now, in Facebook, when we are submitting the login request, we are submitting user ID and password. Besides user ID and password, we are submitting some other data, right? So, can you see there are two pane here? Look, there are three pane here. I want you to strongly focus on it. This is the request, all the request that is being generated. This pane that you are seeing here is for what? Is for your request. All the data that's going through your request are here. And here, can you see the other part? This is the response. That part in the bottom part, in the bottom left corner, that is the response that you get from the server. Now, if you go there, what is the response we have received? It looks like you are having trouble. What did you get? Let me copy. It's look like you are having, right? Let me copy up to that, and let me go to Fiddler. And here in the left hand side, press Ctrl F, means search. Ctrl F means search. What are we going to search? It's look like you are having. And this data we got it from where? From a response. We submit something, after our submission it responds us with that data. Is that correct? Now I want to search it in the response, and I want to decode compressed content. And if you click find session, probably we are not getting it, but let me do one thing. Let me do its look like. Let me search for this one and then find session. Right? Can you see what we got? Can you see this has become yellow? If you click on it, right? If you click on it and if you come to the response and if you search for that data, can you see? Let me make it bigger. Can you see it's look like you are having trouble logging in? We sent a 6-digit code to fake ID. So in the response, whatever we are seeing in the screen, it is available in the response, in the server response, right?
Because this is the server response.
Server responding to our request, and in the response we are getting that data. Now, it is too much for us. It is too much for you guys for today. What I am trying to, you don't need to understand all of the things. I am going to have a detailed discussion on this. Now, what you need to understand, that when you are submitting a request, it is calling a bunch of URLs, and those URLs, with this URL we are submitting some data, right? And those data we can see here in the, if you go to web forms, and you will see those data that you are submitting, and when you are submitting something you are getting some response. Those responses are available here in the response part. This is the part where we are submitting request, and this is the part where we are getting response. And in the response, whatever you are seeing in the screen after you submit the request, those content will be available here in response.
In the server response?
In the server response.
Okay, could you please tell me the specific tools, how you have set a URL with the tool we are trying to get?
No, you don't need to set anything with the tool.
Because
Now,
HTTPS
one thing, when you are working with HTTPS, then you have to go to tools, filter options, and you have to make that option.
tools and the
Filter option. If you go to tools menu, no, it is in the filter.
Yeah, these tools right here.
Tools, and the first menu is filter options. The first menu is filter options. Teleric filter options. Can you see teleric filter
Teleric
options?
filter option, first one.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, first one. And then go to HTTPS tab. It seems like your filter is older or something. But it has the HTTPS. Can you see HTTPS tab?
HTTPS.
Go there and click on decrypt HTTPS traffic. Okay? And click yes. Click yes. Click yes. That's it.
Okay. So is the same one you get the copy?
Probably you have a
Which one?
which one means? Go to tools and then filter options on top. Yeah, and then HTTPS. Click on HTTPS, and then click on decrypt HTTPS traffic, and then click OK. Yes, click yes. Click yes. And click yes. Okay, click yes again. Click OK. Click OK. Now you will be able to get traffic from the HTTPS. No, click yes, click OK there. Click OK. That's it. Now you will be able to get traffic from HTTPS site. You cannot delete anything from there. You can delete it from the left hand side. Let me pause the recording. Alright, thank you class. I will be wrapping up this session here. I am going to stop recording here. Thank you again for joining.